Lenihan for Boxing Social, in association with William Hill and Empire Fight Store. Delighted as always to be joined by Michael Conlan's head trainer, Adam Booth. Adam, huge fight week for Michael. He seems in a great place mentally, physically looks in good shape. How pleased are you with how he's approached this fight week?
How he's approached the fight week, or how he's trained in preparation?
How he's approached this fight week, because we've seen him before where he's been amped up, the Leigh Wood fight and things like that, and now he's very calm, seems quite peaceful, like he's in his zone. How is that sort of the state of mind he's in? Has it impressed you?
I understand. Well, in the Leigh Wood fight week, I don't think he was too amped up until they got to the weigh-in. But once you're in your weigh-in and you've made weight and you're that irritable, that was just a natural thing. But Mick's always fantastic. He's got so much experience from the amateurs and being involved in big events right from the start. No, he's. I said just now in an interview, probably the most low maintenance fighter or low maintenance championship level fighter I've ever worked with.
What do you put that down to when you say low maintenance? Is that because you don't maybe have to give him that, look, this is what needs to be done, he just does it?
In fairness to Andy Lee and Ryan Bennett as well though, what I will say is I don't manage Mick and I don't promote Mick, I'm just his coach, so it could be the fact that I'm only his coach that allows me not to have to be involved with some other stuff. Yeah. But no, he's consummate, he's fun. And yeah, he's an absolute joy to work with as a coach.
I remember speaking to Kurt Walker at the last fight in Belfast, and he described him as once in a lifetime kind of thing in terms of his work ethic and how he trains, and he says it helps him train. How good is he for the other fighters in the gym in terms of pushing them to hit numbers and keeping up with all that with everyone?
And more importantly, he's a great example of this is a way of life. And if you want to succeed, you have to be able to live the life. And that's what he shows. He moves away from his family for months on end. He doesn't, whatever he suffers because of that, you never see it. You never see it in his energy, in the way he plays. The effort that he puts in sometimes is too much. And he's learned, and over time, this is not just about pedal to the metal for every session. You've got to be smart, not just train hard, but train smart. And yeah, he's a consummate professional.
You mentioned at the press conference, sort of every fighter has that apex, and in terms of when they hit the peak, what have you seen in Michael since obviously the Leigh Wood defeat that makes you believe now that this is his apex, this is his peak?
I mean, that's quite a detailed answer to give to that, but everything technically, mentally, and physically, and emotionally, not just in his last two fights, but what's been going on in the gym, how we work on things, how inspiring he'll be practicing certain positions and repeating certain things, whether little moments go his way or not get frustrated, to stay on the point, because sometimes when you're adding something to your game and then you wanted to execute it inspiring, you have to put yourself in a position where you might not be defensively experienced and you might get caught with a shot and start to doubt, is that what I should be adding to my game? And with little things like that, he's been absolutely perfect and a dream to work with. And I know the little things now that he's developed, evolved, and added to his styles. And the proof is how it comes out under the ultimate pressure, and that's what Saturday night is.
You mentioned adding things to his game. I almost feel like he's quite an underrated puncher in terms of when people talk about the skills of Michael Conlan. He's a very, very good boxer, but I think his spitefulness over the past 4 or 5 fights, we've seen that with the knockdowns, his approach. When he sees the opening, he's gone for it, but he's done it methodically. He's not just bounced in. He's picked his shots. How impressed with that side of his game specifically have you been? That almost that viciousness, we saw it in the Gurphy fight, spells of the Mariaga fight when he dropped him, Leigh Wood, it was there for all to see. That side of his game's developed quite a bit, I think, over the past 12 to 18 months. How pleased are you with that?
Well, I mean, it's a nice thing to know that your fighter's got. I mean, Mick's always had that spitefulness in him, but what's happening now is that mechanically it's starting to show out in his technique. The one thing from the Leigh Wood fight is that we almost overcomplicated it a little bit and probably gave them more credit than we should have done in terms of how many things we were preparing to take to the table. The one thing we did not plan for is for Mick to flatten him in the first round, and then for the next 6 rounds have him one shot away from winning the world title. We didn't plan for that. We planned for a hard 12-round fight. And so what we didn't also plan for is for Mick to load up and use so much energy early in the fight. And I've questioned myself over this, gone back and looked at it over and over again. But it wasn't the wrong thing to do, because he was literally one clean shot away from winning that fight. So why not keep looking for it? But because Leigh Wood's got such big balls and he hung in there and took a phenomenal amount of abuse, that was his adaptation in that fight was just to be able to absorb that punishment and keep walking forward. That Michael, like that little computer game, his energy bar went down. First time he'd ever done that in a fight like that in the history of his boxing career, over so many rounds, that left him in the 11th round more tired than we would have wanted him to be. And that's a big take from that fight, because now we're like, okay, well, you can do that. So we haven't just got to now drill you to be a 12-round disciplined fighter, but we've got to drill you and condition you to be loading up and trying to get rid of someone as well. And that was a big add.
Lopez comes into this fight full of confidence. He's been into a version of the Lions Den before in Leeds, took the belt off Josh Warrington. So he will come into this, and I feel the atmosphere, it will be incredible. No matter who you are, you will feel it, but he's dealt with it once before, kind of thing. So how do you see... Do you think he will react to that? Do you think the atmosphere will get on top of him? Do you think the experience...
Not in the slightest. Never go into a fight relying on another man's weaknesses. But he's already proven that atmosphere actually motivates him. We could actually do with the crowd not making so much noise on Saturday night and be a bit quieter, because I do think he will use that as a fuel for himself. So, no, I don't think that will be a detriment to him one bit.
We always talk about sort of how you'd plan your dream fight, when, especially fighters when they're just coming up, and said to Mick, in a way, the loss to Leigh Wood, kind of, it was a blessing in disguise. You learn a lot about yourself. You learn about yourself mentally after that fight. But if you could have written it time and time ago, but like way before it got to that point where you could win a world title, it'd be here in Belfast, and now he's got the chance. Now he's got a chance to do that. Do you think sometimes things just happen for a reason?
Yeah, I mean, well, it's a glass half full.
I'm going for that.
We would have taken the win last year and made Belfast his first defence, and I would have been more happy with that than him fighting and winning it in Belfast, having lost last year.
Look, I want to also get your opinion on another fight that happened the other week. So I saw you were on Twitter asking how close it was. Devin Haney and Vasyl Lomachenko. I thought it was a terrific fight, highly skilled chess match, which what it was built as, and I think it delivered. Me personally, I thought Haney had edged it, but I wouldn't have an issue. Vasyl, 1 round, 2 rounds either way, or even a draw. I want to get your opinion on it, because there's been a lot of uproar. I think a lot of people were maybe going with hearts and stuff because of that love for Lomachenko, but I want to get your opinion on how you saw the fight and what you make of the reaction to the result.
It was a close fight, and so if you lose a close fight, you can't kick and scream robbery. I scored it at the time, and I scored it for 2 rounds to Lomachenko. I've watched it a second time, scored it again. I scored it 2 rounds for Lomachenko. So, but there were some of those rounds where if you're scoring the 3 minutes at the end of the 3 minutes and picking who won that round, there was quite a few close rounds, if that's how you're looking at it. That's not how I score fights when I look at them. So, but because it was a highly competitive fight, with this, where the skill level and the concentration was at the ultimate level, you can't necessarily scream corruption, robbery, theft. Yes, I believe Lomachenko won it. I thought he won it clearly by 2 rounds. The thing that needs looking at is Moretti's scoring of round 10, because to give round 10 to Haney highlights something that is a much bigger problem, whether that's just professional incompetence or worse. Either way, that element means that the decision needs to be re-looked at, because there were a lot of clear rounds. Look, there were a lot of close rounds, and go either way, but there was one specific round that was clear, so clear for one guy, and for a judge to score that the other way round is bad enough for there to be justification for an application for the decision either to be looked at or a rematch.
Absolutely, I'd watch that all day long, every day of the week, if I'm being honest with you. Look, Adam, won't take any more of your time. Good luck for Saturday night. I know it'll mean a lot to you to see him win the title. Wish you all the best, bud.
Okay, thank you.